I'm Sandi. I'm the Global HR Director at Wieden+Kennedy. I've worked at Wieden for 22 years, and for those of you who aren't completely familiar with Wieden, we are an independent, privately held advertising agency with 8 offices and 1,500 employees globally.
Hi, I'm Barbie and I'm the Vice President of Talent for Netflix, and so I'm kind of the odd man out here. I don't work for an advertising agency. I've been there for about 5 years, and it's great to be here with you.
I'm Nancy Alley. I'm the EVP Director of HR for Deutsch Los Angeles. I've been with Deutsch, we're a lean team, me and Ashley. I've been with Deutsch for about 14 years. I've been in the advertising industry for about 30. Just horrifying. But so fun. No, because I've seen so much change. Most of the comments I'm going to make today will pertain mostly to Deutsch LA, so I just want to say that because we kind of do things in that right.
And you bring up a great point, because I think hopefully there'll be some good discussion about, how many of you actually work in an agency? So quite a few actually. So maybe there's a few brands mixed in. How many of you are part of a public holding company? Yep. So I think some of the examples you share, we'll see, what is it that the holding companies maybe allow, and or what can you do as an operating company and just try and test. I'll start with a quote. Larry Page from the Google CEO said, "Almost everyone who has had an idea that's somewhat revolutionary or wildly successful was first told they were insane." How many of you guys have felt that when you brought an idea to the table? Yes. And as far as talking about attracting and even engaging talent, I think there's a stat that I saw that had $720 million are spent in trying to engage and retain people. That's a lot of money. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, a little bit around. But before we jump to some of the specifics of things that you guys are doing, Campaign just came out with 2016 advertising morale study that was published, and it said 47% of industry employees rated the morale low, like 31%, or dangerously low at 16%. And that number has continued to decrease, or I should say increase. What is it, I guess from an outside industry perspective, Barbie, what do you think? What's the cause of that and why?
Not being super familiar with the advertising industry, I'm going to generalize that a little bit. I think when it comes to morale for your workforce, it's very important that your employees feel tied to the results and the solutions and the impacts they're making. And I know in the companies I've worked at, not just, we talked previously about the what, but I think the why is really important. So why are we doing what we're doing? And if workforce doesn't understand the why or the impact that's having, then morale is going to be low, and I think empowerment is a key part of that. We talk a lot at Netflix about freedom and responsibility. We don't like rules, we don't like policies, we like really smart people with really great judgment who can do really amazing things and free them up to innovate and really empower them to do so. And really being passionate about the work you're doing and the product you're working on, the people you're working with. If you like what you're working on, you like who you're working with, those are 2 pretty important things for having good morale.
That's great. Sandi, what do you think from within the industry?
Well, I can only look at it from Widen's point of view, but we've had this particularly come up in our London office, where over the last year or 2, they've seen an increase in sick days, they've seen an increase in stress and burnout, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're an always-on culture. We always have our phones. I'm sure all of you here in this audience are, roll out of bed, check your phone before you go to bed. And so you're never off work. So this was not only impacting the employees in the building, but it was also starting to affect how we recruited talent, because we were getting a reputation in the UK market as Weekend and Kennedy. So we really don't like that. So the London office has done something really drastic. This summer, they created something called a wellness program, and it consists of several different things, but I think the biggest thing, and the thing that's had the most impact so far, is they've made a rule where emails cannot be sent between, I think it's 8 p.m., 7 p.m., and 8 a.m. during the weekdays, no emails on the weekends, no emails on the holidays. And then they also need, you can only have meetings between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. in case you have outside responsibilities, pick up, drop off, whatever you do outside of work. And then there's a flexible 40-hour work week with 4:30 end dates on Fridays. So that's kind of what they're doing in the London office, and it's been a huge morale boost internally. People feel like they have their nights back, they have their life back, and it's been really successful so far.
Great. Nancy, do you want to add anything to that? Your perspective? Okay. I mean, it's a good segue, I think, to get into is how does your company support women in leadership? I'll start with you, Lindsay.
For the whole time I've been at Deutsch, I've seen nothing but really fine women in leadership positions. We have a pretty good ratio. I think they're in those roles because they're really great people, and it was the right thing to do, and I think they're really great examples to all of us.
And moving on, I think into, what's one perk, you mentioned you've been in the business a while, but for each of you, when you started in your careers, what's one perk you wish you'd had back then?
I'll start. Go for it. So I worked at Wieden for 22 years. We've been in business for 35 years. I'd say for the first 30 years of the company, our philosophy around training and development has been sink or swim. And that worked well, I think, for a while, but now the majority of our workforce is millennials, and that is not something that's going to work there. So we've now tried to do some more training and development because I don't think we'll ever get completely away from a sink or swim culture, but we need to be giving some swim lessons or some arm floaties or something before we push these people out into the deep end. And so I wish that I had some more, maybe some professional development in terms of, how to be a woman in the workforce earlier on in my career.
Yeah, I heard the concept of board of directors, which I wish I had. Starting at that concept of get a couple, besides just one mentor or coach, get a few. Someone that's going to be cheerleader, and there was a great session last year on this too, and that really stuck out with me personally. How about you, Barbie?
I think for me it's an easy answer. At Netflix, we give men and women a year off when they have a child and adoptive parents. And I sure wish I had that when I had my kids. So it's pretty, I don't consider it a perk, but I do think that's something I wish I had when I had my 2 kids.
So awesome.
I wish we had the technology that we have today and flexibility. I just got my last child out of the house into college, and I was that crazy mother at volleyball games making offers. I said 40. I couldn't do that at the beginning of my career. So, I was the mom that did my job. My mom friends would leave me alone. They could always tell if I was working. I had the tools I needed. I could stay in touch. I could accomplish what I needed to do. I think that has revolutionized business. I don't feel like I have to work all the time. I feel like I can do what I need to do to get my job done and have my life, which is, of utmost importance.
That's great. And so on that topic, parental leave, it's a big one. Gates Foundation, I think, has 52 weeks paid mat and paternity leave. The list goes on up to a year, 6 months, 1 month back. Possible, yes, we have paid time off, and then we have 6 weeks where it's what we call phase back, where they work 32 hours a week, but that's still not enough. What is it that your companies do in regards to parents and leave and then time back?
Sure. So I'll just use our U.S. offices for an example. So right now we give women who've given birth 4 months 100% paid leave, and then any parent who has not given birth gets 2 months 100% paid leave. And then we also give a $500 meal stipend for new parents, so because they can't remember if it's up or down that first month, so they can have some takeout food or whatever makes it easier for them. And then when they come back into work, we do the same thing, a phase back in. We also, particularly in our Portland office, which is a baby factory, we have 4...
Something's in the water.
Something's in the water. We have 4 dedicated lactation rooms that are in use all day long, full time. And then there's something else, but I can't remember what it is. Sorry, I'll look it back.
So we, again, we're not really into tracking much of anything when it comes to rules and policies. So we do have the unlimited time off for vacation time, and we have the unlimited time off in the first year of a child. So some people take a full year, some people take 6 months and then integrate in slower and work part-time. It's really freedom and responsibility for employees to handle it how they wish to. It was a big debate at Netflix when we talk about crazy, when I told the CEO I wanted to do this a year. We weren't sure if we should treat mothers and fathers the same, or if we should treat them differently. And there is a certain amount of extra effort when we go through, right? We're actually the ones having the baby usually. There's adoptive parents too. But we really felt like it will be harmful to women in the workplace if they're given more time than their male counterparts. And we actually want the men taking off a good amount of time when their partners have children. And we don't want the workforce feeling, well, don't hire a woman because they'll go out and have babies and you won't be able to rely on them. We want equality between the men and women in the workplace. And we really do have to push our male leaders to take more time off than they want to, just to set the right example for the rest of the men in the workforce that they can take time off with their kids too. So we universally decided to give the year to all parents, biological or not, mother or father or not, for that. And then we have mini lactation rooms. We probably have over 20. And then again, the unlimited time off aspect of the culture for everybody too enables parents to have a lot more freedom to raise their children and take the time they need and to make those choices. So really, it's really about empowering our workforce to do what's right for their families and what's right for their careers and what they want to do.
And to clarify that point on unlimited time off, you mean for vacation?
Yeah, so yeah, we don't do any vacation tracking. We don't have any vacation policy around how much time you can take off. It's between you and your manager. And so that freedom exists, and no one in HR knows how much time he wants to take.
I was gonna say, do people take it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I take more vacation than I ever have now that I work in place.
That's great. Nancy, do you want to share?
Yeah, we have paid 12.5 weeks for the moms and 6 weeks off for the dads. We have a parental return to work policy where you can come back from having your child and work 4-day work weeks for the first 3 months, full pay, which has been really awesome. We have a couple of lactation rooms. One is a shower. We've retrofitted with all kinds of pretty things. I remember pumping in a bathroom stall when I had my first child. That was
At the airport, what's
so not awesome in any way. No scheduler, there wasn't a radio in there. I was standing up and there was an extension cord.
I remembered what it was I wanted to say. It is, if for women who are continuing to breastfeed, if they travel for more than 4 days, we will pay an allowance for them to bring a companion with them to care for their child while they are doing their work, or they can, we'll pay for them to send their express milk home.
That's great. Was that hard to sell through to finance or the business they bought in? That's great. Your story reminded me of another one. When I had a child, it was in the basement of a 100-year-old building and the lights would automatically go off. It was awful. Anyways, the times have changed. You know, a lot of these things around, another study showed, talking about, creative, specifically creative women in leadership, and at a certain age or a certain stage in their career they leave industry. There's a recent study that showed majority leave around 30 because they're struggling with maybe work life, or they think about, having children. Yet, at the same time, men leave because of comp. But then based on the study, they found that women actually say no, or those in their 30s said, we disagree, it's because of comp. What have you guys done to actually, have you done anything in your organization to look at pay equity? Did you find something? Did you make a change? Or where are you in that process?
I'll answer this. I mean, there are a couple of job titles in our agency that we do have to address. We're, close, but there is definitely some work to be done, and I've already brought it up with our CEO and president. They're very, very open to it, and we will be making a change.
Anyone else want to share?
Well, the only thing I would say to that is, when we make offers to employees, it's always going to be from the same salary range. I think there's a systemic gender problem where women don't negotiate their salaries as better as well as men do. So there might be a place where that's where the pay parity starts.
I take a look. I look after mostly the engineering and tech part of the company, and so it's very male dominated. So when we do compensation, I take a look at everything and I analyze the numbers and see if I've seen any trends toward disparate pay between men and women, and if I do, then I go to our leaders and I address it with them.
Yeah, I know it's a touchy subject, but an important one, and probably goes back to maybe negotiation skills training. What about, at our company, we talk a lot about does it work as our ideology and mindset of test and learn. Where have you failed? Like, where did you try something and it just didn't work, and why? Would you be willing to share?
Sure. So I would say one place that we failed was when we rolled out our diversity program in our Portland office, and particularly one aspect of it, which was around trying to hire more diverse candidates. So Dan Wieden, our founder, is passionate about racial diversity, and so he would love, his goal and vision is to see our US offices mirror the US makeup racially. So, that's an obvious, long-term goal that we're looking towards. However, we're headquartered in Portland, Oregon, which is one of the whitest cities in the whitest states in the country. So we don't have any diversity just at our front door, we have to go get it. So we thought if we just found amazing, qualified, diverse candidates and put them into the mix, this is a home run. Everyone's gonna get hired, it's gonna be great. That is not what happened. What happened was hiring managers continued to hire people like them. So we decided to take a step back and change our strategy to, kind of the word of the day, I've heard it in everything here, a strategy based on empathy. So we've created a program called Courageous Conversations About Race. It's a 2-day seminar. It is not mandatory, but we highly recommend all of our employees go to it. And it's to talk about how we're trying to create a culture of difference and why difference is so important to all of the decisions that we make. But it's this, I went to this seminar and it was one of the most profound things I've ever done. And if any of you have a chance to do any unbiased, unconscious bias training, I highly recommend you do it, because what we found is it's changing us as human beings first, and then it will hopefully change us as employees, and those employees who make the work will change the work, and we'll see things happen in the culture. So that's what we're doing, and it's really improved everything about what we're doing in our Portland office. It's amazing.
Great. Did you have anything you've tried and failed that comes to mind?
Nothing as important as that. The woman that runs our office loves to start everything with yes and go backwards. So she's always trying all these great things. We had this program called the Side Project, where if you came to the agency and you pitched a business that you were trying to launch, we had a contest a couple times, and the agency would help fund the beginnings of that business. We went into it with great heart and little knowledge. And the one company that we did launch, we had both a fail and a great success. The success was that the company launched, and it's an actual company, Books.com. It's an online flower ordering company. They're doing really well. But our beloved employee, one of our best copywriters who started it, was so successful with his business, he left. So that program was really kind of awesome. It sort of died on the vine for a few reasons. That was sort of disheartening. I mean, it's kind of expected, and it actually, I think, is a great outcome, really. We just haven't been able to figure out how to monetize it and what we should get behind and what we should do. But I love the idea of trying things and failing and having an open heart. And I love that her philosophy is, well, sometimes HR people, we get stuck with policies and we get stuck with, the discretion police will be out. And she just starts at yes, and then you work backwards.
So, to that point, I was going to say, I think one of you were talking about that last night.
Yeah, we've done a couple of things. We have a woman right now who's one of our best copywriters who came to us and said, I want to be part of this program where I'm going to travel the world for a year, but I want to keep working. I want to work from all over the world. And we're going to give it a go. We're going to, test it after 3 months, see how it goes. She will fulfill, kind of what Bonnie was saying, her interest and her passion. She'll probably become a much more interesting person, and I think her work will reflect it. So we're giving that a go. We've had a couple of people who've had a really great, talented copywriter whose younger brother was dying, and he wanted to go be with him. We said, go be with him. He lived in Atlanta for 6 months by his brother's side, helped his wife, and worked and did some of the best work he's ever done. It's again, open heart, start with yes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
What about, like, to that point, we talked a lot about benefits, paid time off, etc. What else can we do to support women?
I think that a lot of the programs that we have at companies that help enable you to work and live are sometimes a little biased towards men. Like if you just look at expense policies about what's okay to expense and what's not okay to expense, right? You can expense your beer when you go out, but you can't expense your babysitter when you go out. If you have a work event, right? So I do think there's things that we can do to make it so that it's easier to find that balance, or at least feel a little less guilty about being at work when you can't be at home. In terms of even something so simple as what you can expense and what you can't expense.
I think that one of the things that I think we can help women with this is, and this is the whole point of this conference, is seeing people that you can look up to at the top. And I don't think, at least at Wieden, I don't think we're doing enough in that area. We're certainly trying. Our global CCO is a woman. Our global leadership team, there are, of the 9 of us, there's 6 of us that are women. So, we're trying to show that there's leadership that you can look up to that's female. But one of the things that our Portland office has done recently, and it's been really kind of a grassroots effort, is they've created something, the women in the office have created something called the 51%, which is a total ripoff of this conference. Because at the time when it was started, there was 51% of the Portland office was women. And they have created their own programming. I mean, there's obviously some HR, people on the HR team work on this, but it's really just other women in the office, and they've created programming to know each other. They did a speed dating. There's 300 women in the Portland office. They did a speed dating. They've done 2 rounds of it. They've been wildly successful. There was a single woman who was really passionate about finances. She put on a program about how to buy a house, how to buy a house as a single woman. There's been sessions on how to be a working mom and the struggles that they've had, which was one of the most, there were so many people there who were feeling lonely. So it's just, creating a sense of community internally where women can feel like they can be themselves.
That's great.
Yeah, our women at Netflix group has been very successful, partly because of the women and partly because of the men who actually participate too and are trying to expand their own minds when it comes to the issues that women are facing. And it's fun for the community too. We'll screen things, movies like Girls Code, and bring in folks from the community and women at the university, and they talk about that. And it's that sense of community is very valuable.
I was going to add to that, in our Cincinnati office that started a women in leadership program, and it was men and women, and so those are some of the most amazing moments that happen organically. There's a group that started in London working on diversity, so things like that, and I think you can try to create these global programs, but at the same time, each market's so different, so you really want to customize it and have that flexibility. I think is important.